Alright. Alright, we're live. Should I adjust this a little bit? Make my forehead not as fucking prevalent. So we're gonna go over here real quick, and I'm gonna see if he talks at all. Well, I guess not at all. He's actually not right off the bat, but
Hi everyone, it's me,
go.
Tim. Today I want to talk about
for a minute,
challenges.
and then I'm gonna check on my stream and make sure that he's actually being picked up, and then make sure that he's actually being picked up. We're gonna hear a little bit of feedback. I'm sorry about that ahead of time. Go on to YouTube real quick. There's my channel. My videos, my channel. There we go. Ahead of time. Here real quick. I'm gonna see if he talks at all. Well, I guess not really. He's actually not right off the bat, but.
Hi everyone, it's me,
Tim.
Today I want to talk about.
He's getting picked up on stream. That was the number one biggest thing I wanted to make sure that was actually getting done. Okay, now I can set this up and just occasionally check on it. Stream manager. Oh, I already have 2 viewers. Oh, turn that down. Turn that down. Okay. Alright, now let's get into it. So today, he's going to be talking about the challenges of making a Fallout remaster. And I'm excited about this one because I know Fallout 3 remaster is probably coming out later on this year. So let's hear what he said. This is one of the main directors on Fallout 1 and 2, I believe. I don't remember if he actually worked on 3, or I don't think he did. But
Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I want to talk about the challenges of making a Fallout remaster. I'm doing this on a fun Friday because I think it'll be fun for you.
One big question already off the bat is actually what kind of Fallout remaster is he talking about? Because like a Fallout 2 or a Fallout 1 remaster would be entirely different than a Fallout 3 remaster. Because like you would think you just give Fallout 1 or 2 a coat of paint for like Fallout 3, but there are still like systems in that game, like how addiction works and how like certain factions interact with each other, and like also like there's also like it has the mechanic where like in Dragon's Dogma, if you don't do something in a certain amount of time, you will fail the quest. And like so adding that in would also be like, in one, adding it in and trying to explain it to a Fallout player that's only played 3D Fallout games would definitely, it wouldn't be a challenge, but it would like, it's something you got to think about when like, it's something different that you have to think about when remastering like Fallout 1 and 2. Something you have to think about when remastering Fallout 1 and 2 that you don't have to think about when remastering Fallout 3 or New Vegas.
You guys, it may not be fun for me because I had to think about this a lot and write a bunch of stuff down.
Well, I'm sure.
Now, I've already done a video, and I'll link it below, about the remaking Fallout, or Fallout 1, or OG Fallout, or whatever people want to refer to it as. I call the first Fallout, Fallout. That right there, by the way, is an issue because people argue over what to call the first Fallout.
Yeah, calling it just Fallout would be the correct title because it doesn't have a 1 right after it, like Fallout 2 does or any of the others. So it should just be called Fallout.
I've been sitting on this video for a while because I did the one called the remake, and a lot of people were like, no, that's really, you're talking about a remaster. So I want to be clear. Here I'm talking about just doing a remaster, which is taking the original game, original code, original content, and just remastering it, which means fixing bugs, fixing code.
So essentially just like making it a better overall game, and then not
making it work with modern OSs,
probably
making it work at higher resolutions, and making everything UI, everything else work with that.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, that would be closer to a remaster. So instead of like like making it into 3D. He would just literally make Fallout and Fallout 2 as they were. I don't even think he's really talking about updating the visuals, just making sure that the visuals work on like a higher grade monitor, and just making sure that like the game's like up to snuff quality, like up to like modern day snuff quality.
That possible, bug fixes, optimization, but I'm going to talk about that because there are issues once you open up that Pandora's box.
Let me say, as a game designer, I kind of get it. I don't know if he's actually going to get into it. But I know every single time, like Skills and Slimes, for example, that game was specifically a game that I designed to see how many different systems I could add in and have them interact with each other. Um, and see if they would actually interact with each other well, and how challenging it would be to get all these different systems to interact with each other. Turns out very challenging. I literally broke the entire game, I want to say like 2 or 3 times, and I had to actually delete all the source code, and I back up my source code on Google Cloud, and I had to re-download my old source code and start from scratch on like an update like at least 2 or 3 times, just because like going in and messing with stuff like that, it's a fragile balance. Like the entire like making a game's like stacking up a Jenga tower that you don't have all the pieces to, and if you put one wrong piece in the wrong spot, the entire thing can come crumbling.
But the main reason I sat on this is I get two reactions from people when I talk about doing anything with the first Fallout. There's the first group that gets really excited. They're like, "He's gonna do it! He's gonna do it!" Some of them are excited. "Hey, where do
I
I
was
throw
gonna
my
say I
money?
want it.
You need to Kickstarter this." And then there's the other people who are really cynical. "Oh, here he is talking about Fallout again. He just wants money for it." So let me just make it.
There's nothing wrong with him using his position on working on a franchise to talk about video games in general, and also bring like attraction to his channel, because that's what he did. That's his acolytes. He's allowed to talk about it as much as he wants. Like he did it. He worked on it. He's got a giant gaming franchise. So that's like more credit than I even have to talk about video games. So like why shouldn't he use his experience on Fallout to talk about video games, and also talk about just Fallout in general, and get people talking about Fallout, because Fallout's huge.
It clear. I don't. I'm not even sure I want to do this. And as you watch this video, you'll figure out why. And I'm sure some people, and now there's a third group going, "Oh, here come the excuses." Look, I don't
No,
have to
no
remaster
excuses.
Fallout 1, so I'm not going to. I don't need to. I don't even know if some of you need it done. In fact, once you finish this video, you may be like, "Yes, let's never remaster Fallout." But what? And also, why am I doing this video now? I wonder about this a lot.
Now, see, I'm never going to be on team never remaster Fallout, because I know that this, like, the newer generation of gamers are never going to go back and play that old game without like someone like me sitting them down and forcing them to. The only way they're going to is if something like this comes out, like a remaster or a remake or something. Then they'll be like, "Oh, shit, what's this? Let me see this. I've only ever seen Fallout 3 in New Vegas. I've never seen Fallout or Fallout 2."
A lot. I go through my notes. I've done that whole big, so many videos on Fallout, and I've gone through my notes, and it's fun to think about that time. And I look back at things and go, "Oh, yeah, we even when the game went out the door, we didn't like that. I would like to fix that." Plus, I get asked a lot. I get asked this question.
This is one thing that I have to actually think about, because I think about it quite a bit as a game developer, because there's many times that I've shipped a game and there's been like a game breaking bug that I've been able to patch within like an hour of being told about it. Excuse me. If I had done back in his day when like they were making games for the PC and shit like that, my game would have been one of the most shit games. They probably would have called me a scammer, specifically because, like I said, there was just like I think I recently heard about another game that did this also. It was like a game that was like almost unplayable, and like they went back through the code, and it turns out like the dude had an X where there was supposed to be an S, and it like broke half the code in the game, and that's why the game was actually so shit. And if you went back into the code and fixed it, the game actually wasn't near as bad as people said it was. So like I only imagine, like, I would probably be lampooned as a developer because of that, like, one little mistake. That amount of pressure that they had back then, holy crap.
Question a lot. People on this channel, gamers like you, ask me a lot about why aren't you remastering Fallout? Well, here's the video of why it would be a pain to do it. By the way, I've also been asked professionally a few times, and not just about Fallout. I've been asked about my other games. Like, hey, why don't you do a remaster of this? Why don't you fix these things and modernize it and make it easier to work under, Windows 11 or wherever we are?
Honestly, he probably could make a lot of money doing it with a lot of past games that he's worked on. He probably could actually, like, make quite a bit of money doing that, but he's going to get into probably why that's not worth the amount of money he'll make.
When you're watching this video. And I get why people are asking me those questions. I don't think there's anyone out there who could answer this question better than I can. And what I mean is all the different details that you have to know about it, because even the people who worked on the project weren't involved on some of the legal sides, because that's what I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about a bunch of things that would make it difficult to make a Fallout remaster. And they fall into three categories, all these reasons. There's legal issues, there's technical issues.
I didn't even think about the legal issues because technically Fallout was made by Black Isle Studio, or is Obsidian. Give me 1 second. I probably shouldn't do that. You guys are going to see some fuckery. Yeah, I tried to open a new tab. Yeah, my computer doesn't like that. Sorry ahead of time. I was going to look up. I'll look it up on my phone so my computer doesn't have a fucking heart attack. Like it already is. What are you guys seeing on the stream right now? Because I know it can't be good. Is it all frozen? Yeah. Oh no, you still see me moving. I'll probably cut this out. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'll look up real quick. Is Black Isle Studio Obsidian? I believe they are. Oh no, they're not. Oh, they were founded by former Black Isle employees. Okay, so I believe Fallout and Fallout 2 were made by Black Isle Studios. Give me 1 second. Who made Fallout and Fallout 2? Yeah, Black Isle Studios. So yeah, he can't even legally do it. He's part of Obsidian, I'm pretty sure. Like he would have to buy the rights from Black Isle. So he has to actually get Black Isle Studios on board before he can do anything. I personally did not know that before all this. That's crazy actually.
And there's subjective issues. I'm going to walk through all of them. I had divided them up into the three groups, but the technical and subjective kind of intertwine. So let me start with the legal ones, and then I'm going to go into all the other reasons, and I'll tell you, oh, well, this is technical, but this is subjective. So let's talk about the legal issues of remastering Fallout. First of all, you'd have to have its code, which
they probably don't because Black Isle Studios probably has it.
I think I told you when I left Interplay, they said,
Oh,
you better not have any copies of this. So I destroyed
Interplay. Is that what Black Isle Studios rebranded themselves as? Is Black Isle Studios Interplay? Oh, okay. Yeah, so Blackout was a diversion of Interplay Entertainment. Okay, so yeah, Black Isle Studios and Interplay are the same.
every copy of the source code I had. I went so far to destroy it that I even destroyed early prototypes and libraries, which means I can't
Well, yeah, he didn't want to get sued into the fucking ground for holding on to code that, like, legally wasn't his.
even get some of my older personal toy projects that I was working on at home to compile anymore because they referenced a library that I destroyed the only copy of that library when I destroyed Fallout and all the
Oh,
code and
that's
even the early
fucking
prototype I made.
devastating. Had to
So
destroy
Bethesda
some of
would
his
have to
hobby
authorize a
stuff.
remaster of this, and I'm assuming they have the code because I know the code exists. So that's legal issue one. But
Well,
there's
yeah, the code's gonna be there no matter what. But like, yeah, so he has no access to it.
another legal issue. We got a license from MI, the music group, for Maybe by the Ink Spots. That was only for that game. Now it doesn't
Oh,
have a it
I
didn't have
didn't
a
realize that either. So he's gonna have to relicense that song in order to make a or remove it entirely, one or the other.
time limit because a lot of modern games when they license music, there's a certain time limit for it, which is why if you ever see the games come out later, the music has been removed. There was no time limit, but it doesn't include making a remaster. So I'm positive that song would have to be licensed again, and that's a legal issue.
Okay, so yeah, he's saying specifically because it's a remaster and we are taking just the original game and just updating the code and bringing it to newer consoles, you are going to. So it's not even a you can remove it. Well, you wouldn't be able to call it a faithful remaster if you removed it.
And money and whatever. Since I mentioned the code, let's talk about what you would run into trying to get it compiled again. And this is something I've thought about a lot. So I'm going to talk about all the issues I can think about.
This
If
is
you
what
summon
I was kind of wondering too, because like they would have to like try to somehow compile it towards consoles, and it was designed only for PC. So like being a like you would have to try to come up with a new UI interface for consoles entirely.
magically had the code fall into your lap, here's the problems you're going to face. First of all, we coded it in C on a compiler called Watcom.
Okay.
In fact, going through my stuff, another reason I thought about doing this is I found my original Watcom CD, the compiler. I don't have a CD drive in my current computer, but I have the original
Oh shit. So that's like another issue he would run into. He wouldn't even be able to download the compiler that they originally used because he only has the disk version of it.
compiler CD because I bought it when I started Troika because Arcanum was originally going to be done with Watcom, and we switched to Visual Studio. In any case, Watcom is old. It is no longer supported. It's buggy. I found bugs in this compiler. Some of them I reported to get fixed because it was required for something we were doing on
So wait, actually, shit, I went a little too far back.
because I bought it when I started Troika because Arcanum was originally going to be done with Watcom, and we switched to Visual Studio. In any case, Watcom is old. It is no longer supported.
So he'd have to try to get all of this over to Visual Studio.
It's buggy. I found bugs in this compiler. Some of them
Which is insane. That well, I mean, like I work on Godot, so like a lot of people do that with Godot, but like that's open source and like nobody tries to charge you for that, and it's a piece of software that's not. I mean, it's seen as professional, but it's not seen at hobby level and professional at the same time. He's working with professional level software and fixing bugs and in professional level software is just a tad embarrassing.
reported to get fixed because it was required for something we were doing on Fallout. So I mean, I found bugs in a compiler, and I'm sure there's more. It also has, compared to modern compilers, very limited warning, error, and optimization capabilities. So
Oh, so you could fully compile something and it could just fucking be broken.
for this, and plus the fact that it's not compatible with newer versions of DirectX, this is a lot of reasons you probably don't want to use Watcom if you're remastering Fallout. But let me tell you what
Why
you're
is
going to
my
run into if you
computer's
try to do.
tanking so hard? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pause him and see what's going on. See if my yeah, it seems like my computer's just decided to be an asshole. All of a sudden, let me make sure everything's good over here. So far, so good. Come on.
It on any other compiler. And let me just assume you're going to use.
Okay. My computer is being an actual asshole right now. Let's see if I get rid of these in the background. If it'll help me some. Love when we run into live technical difficulties. It's always my favorite. Of course. Full on no responding. Doesn't know what the fuck to do. All this is probably going to get cut out at some point. Just means more fucking editing for me. What is going on? Is it actually even picking me up? Yeah, it has to be. Okay. Oh, shit.
Microsoft Visual Studio.
Wow. It's fucking crazy that. I might have to try to refresh the fucking page. Like that one dude that I don't like, who makes a bunch of content, like game news content.
Yeah.
He does it all with a VTuber. Update stream. There, we're back. Holy shit. I don't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah. When I archived Fallout, and I'm assuming this is the archive that Bethesda has, I did not archive.
Wait, oh, because they bought the Fallout license from Interplay. So okay. So he would have to get the licensing from Bethesda, not fucking Black Isle Studios.
The code
I guess that makes
for
sense.
sound or movies for a very good reason. The programmer who wrote that code would not give me the source code. I don't know what's happening. I didn't.
Oh. Come on. You were literally just working fine.
know what's happening, Dan. I still don't
I
know what
was going to say.
the situation.
Okay. We're going to go back a little bit on that one.
Or movies for a very good reason. The programmer who wrote that code would not give me the source code. I don't know what's happening. I didn't know what's happening then. I still don't know what the situation was.
Interesting.
But he was allowed not to give his source code to anybody. He would just give me a library compiled for the game, and I would use his library.
Right.
These are Whatcom libraries. So they would compile under that old version. You could rewrite code and compile under Whatcom and link to these libraries, and everything would work. It's not going to work with Visual Studio. So that's issue one. I don't know how to get that code.
Yeah, getting that code in general would be crazy. And then on top of which, also, it seems like Bethesda might be doing something with Fallout 1, Fallout 2.
I have some workarounds for the sound.
Hopefully.
And for basic sound, I'm talking about sound effects, voices, user interface sounds. These are raw files. It says .snd, but they're basically just waves with their headers ripped off. Not hard to make work. If you know that, you could figure out how to make these things work.
Okay.
For the music, they're in ACM format, which was proprietary, probably convertible. I'm not sure about the legal issues on that. But here's...
I was going to say, I honestly, right now he's speaking fucking Greek to me. I don't know a lot about audio design and stuff like that.
The side effect of that, or a workaround, the music's out there, which you could grab it, probably in MP3 format. For me,
that's fair.
There was a member of the team that made us all Fallout soundtrack CDs. It says Fallout,
so he's already got it on a CD.
World. I looked for mine. I couldn't find it. I think it's boxed up down in the garage. But I have that CD. I could rip it. And then I have all the music.
Yeah, I was going to say that he's already got all the music literally somewhere in a box then.
As MP3 or OGS or however I want. Then it comes to the last one, the movies. The movies in Fallout are stored in a proprietary format. It's maybe convertible, maybe some
movies. I'm guessing he's talking about the actual, like the cutscenes and everything in Fallout. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't played the original Fallout. I've played Fallout 2. Played Fallout 2 in almost its entirety. I don't remember there being like actual movies in the game. I remember there being a lot of like, what do they call them? They're like cutscenes, full motion video cutscenes, FMV, FMV cutscenes.
Someone could figure it out. I don't know how to do it because they were compressed and played through this guy's sound library, which I don't have it, sound music library and movie library, which I don't have any code for. A better way to do it would be just record them straight from the game.
Well, that's fair.
And then compress them into whatever modern format you want.
That's fair. So just, like literally just do like a live stream of Fallout and then just clip all the fucking movies and then now you have it in that video format.
But doable. So that's you can get around that. And I'm just saying that's the first thing you have to look at because
it's fucky, but it works. Like that is like one of the most fucky ways to do something. But yeah.
Otherwise, if you just recompiled this game in Visual Studio, it would have no sound and no movies. So what do I mean about the remaster? Let's assume you've got all that working and now you're remastering.
Okay, so now
I want to
I'm
talk about
understanding what he's saying. He's saying even if you got the code to work in Visual Studio, the movies and the audio wouldn't work in Visual Studio. And now he's thought of workarounds for that he could get to work, but it's still just a fucking headache.
there's straightforward things you want to do. First of all, you want to get it compiling again. You probably want to optimize it. There's a number of things in Fallout that weren't well written for modern computers. You probably want to change how it uses memory. Probably want
Oh yeah, it probably is like unoptimized to all hell. There's probably so much stuff that like I know when I make games, I can go back and make them better optimized and just make them overall better, and I can slim down code and just make the game overall run better than I could when I was originally like doing it, because it's just how game design works. Like you just get better over time no matter what, and you're always just going to continue to get better. So like you're always, if you aren't able to go back to your past work and make it better, you haven't progressed at all. Therefore, you need to start working on something harder.
to change how it writes to video. Number of other things. These can all fall under optimizations. But you also want to fix bugs. It shipped with bugs. It
Yeah,
still has bugs. You want to fix those bugs.
you always want to fix bugs.
But this is where things go from technical to subjective, because what do we mean by bugs? Now, you can be really restrictive and say code bugs that lead to things like crashes.
Yeah, you could, but I'm sure there's some bugs in there that players have never noticed that hinders optimization. I know there's so many bugs in Skills and Slimes that I shipped with that nobody noticed until like I went back and like tried to add another system into Skills and Slimes, and then I'm re-looking over one of my old systems while I'm integrating the new system into the old system, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's wrong. And then I'll go and fix it, and I'm like, how has anybody not noticed this? Like the damage calculation has been off. How have I not noticed this? And like everything else like that. So like stuff like that. Yeah, I feel like I got a little off topic.
Memory leaks,
Yeah, stuff like that.
lost inventory.
You should be able to go back and yeah, stuff like that is gonna be in there. I'm sure that not a single player has ever noticed, but he's still gonna want to fix because he knows it's not good for the overall running of the overall game experience.
Incorrect script and dialogue cause. Okay, we can probably all agree those are bugs we want to fix.
Yeah,
What about AI bugs? Do Can the AI be improved? Certainly, but is that a
100%.
fix?
Oh, that's fair too. I didn't even think about that, because if you make the AI better, say like you make the AI better in like a combat scenario, now you've made the AI harder, you've made the game harder. So like I guess I could see his point in that.
Or is that a subjective thing you'd be tampering with? Some of the things I can think about is, how, and
See, like day to day, like if you gave like the NPCs an actually daily routine and everything in the game and like updated the AI in that, I feel like that is adding to the game. But at that point, you're no longer doing a remaster. You're getting into remake territory.
NPCs shoot each other, your companions shoot you in the back, companions will flee but stay in combat so you can't stop combat. All of those are things you may want to tinker with and take out. But the shooting friends thing will require at the very minimum either remove it, they're not allowed to shoot friends, they all become invalid targets.
Fair enough.
Or if it looks like they're shoot a friend, they'll reposition themselves so their friend isn't in their
That's fair. I feel like the reposition, but then now you have a shot that might take AP that you didn't want to take more AP.
LOS. Or they just won't shoot if somebody's in their LOS. Are these all valid things to do in a remaster? Because it will change the feel of the game.
Yeah, and then like he was just saying, it's not, you're technically not in remaster territory, you're in remake territory.
Remember, I said that companion AI, because we didn't plan to have companions in the game until very, very late, or we planned early, rejected it, and then revisited it and put them in. All that AI was modified
For the
enemy
good.
AI.
Companions.
Could I fix
so
that?
much-
Oh, yeah. Could I make it way better?
Companions are integral to the Fallout experience. So like without companions, like all of Fallout 2, like the main narrative is that you have a band of misfit mutants that are taking on the evil fucking sanitized corporate, or well, not sanitized corporation, but sanitized government of humans. So like without your companions, you don't even get that narrative. So, like, imagine in a world where Fallout just didn't have companions.
Oh, yeah. But remember, better is subjective here. This would remove some of the jank, some of the fun jank that people like. You know, Ian won't shoot his Uzi in burst mode at you accidentally. But we'll get to that in a second because there's other things we can fix. What about script bugs? Let me give you an example of a script bug. You
This
you could
might be what
complete
I
the
was
game
talking
without
about.
ever finding the water chip. That was not our intent. And speedrunners take advantage of this. They go and basically kill the master and blow up the master and kill the mutant army.
So, wait,
All that AI was modified enemy
I
AI.
didn't know this
Could I
actually.
fix that? Oh yeah. Could I make it way better? Oh yeah. But remember, better is subjective here. This would remove some of the jank, some of the fun jank that people
Yeah.
like. You know, Ian won't shoot his Uzi in burst mode at you accidentally. But we'll get to that in a second because there's other things we can fix. What about script bugs? Let me give you an example of a script bug. You could complete the game without ever finding the water
So,
chip. That was not our
I didn't know
intent.
that
And
actually. Fallout
speedrunners
1.
take advantage of this. They go and basically kill the master and blow up the master and kill the mutant army, and then they're done. Should I fix?
See, I didn't know you could just jump straight to the master. That, I guess that's kind of like a predecessor for like how open world Fallout would get. Like, yeah, no, that should never be removed. Like, that should be a part of the game. Like he's just gonna say it's integral to the speedrunning community.
That? What about something as small and
No, don't fix
seemingly
that.
insignificant as beating Zax, the supercomputer in the Glow, at chess by getting an intelligence critical success? There's a bug in the check for
What I was talking about. This is what I was talking about. I am sure. Oh, well, we'll see what the fuck happens here. My computer's being a cockhead again. Oh, are we back? We're back, boys? But
that
yeah, I'm sure nobody noticed the fucking bug in the check but him.
success. It never returns a critical. So
So
that
you
script will
can
never fire.
never.
The script is correct. The underlying
So
code
yeah,
supporting it is
exactly.
incorrect.
So nobody ever even experienced the fact that you could actually beat it at chest in the first place because you could never get a critical success. So yeah, like he would definitely want to fix that bug, but like that's one that the player would never know is in there.
Should I fix that? This is kind of subjective, but here's some non objective parts. Let's say I want to fix the water chip and make it so you do have to recover it. I'll probably need new dialogue lines from the overseer to talk about, hey, if you've done those things, we still don't have the water chip, son. Unfortunately, the actor Kenneth Mars, who played the overseer, has passed away. So here are our
Oh,
options at this point. Don't add any new lines. They just don't exist.
that's fair.
It'll be weird. You're play the game. For some reason it's not finishing. You just have to remember, I guess I better go get a water chip and go do it. Maybe throw something in the quest log saying water chip still not found.
Yeah.
We could add them to the overseer's dialogue and they're just unvoiced. So the line would pop up, the talking head would just sit there, and the line would be there. We could carefully write those
Right.
lines so that it uses words that are voiced for other lines. You could like
Splice
construct a
it
new
together.
dialogue from
You could do
carefully
like a chef from South Park and splice them together.
clipped other overseer lines. Possible. Very restrictive, but possible.
Yep.
We could also hire a new voice actor to mimic Ken Mars. I don't know about the
I was gonna say I don't know about the legality of it all either, but like they definitely could probably
legal
do that.
aspects of this. I don't even want to talk about the ethical aspects of this because the fifth
Ethical ones
solution
where like
is to
people would
run
get
an
mad.
AI voice mimic software on all the AI overseer or all the overseer
Oh, I was gonna say doing an AI also over top of everything would just be fucking disrespectful, honestly.
lines and then have an AI generate the new lines. I bet you a ton of you hate this idea.
Yeah.
I'm throwing it out there because these are the
No, it's the easiest and probably the best way to get the same level of quality of voice acting. Because every other way that they would do it, like getting a new voice actor in there to do it, one, you still have the same ethical concerns as you do as replacing it with an AI. You're replacing the original voice actor and adding in new lines that he didn't originally record. and two, also, like, it's not going to sound the same and you're going to hear the difference. Like, most people are still going to be able to hear the difference between how he sounded in one line and then he sounds almost completely different in another line. But if you do AI, it could sound almost seamless. But then, like he said, you still have the ethical concerns of you're replacing a dead actor or mimicking a dead actor. Shit. Let me. Fuck. I didn't mean to do that. Yep. Now it's gonna try to play us an ad. Because the thing. Yep. Fuck. I clicked the wrong button. I'm sorry, guys.
Awaken to a world of wonder. In Final Fantasy.
Fucking. Let's go
Was
back up
not our
here.
intent. And speedrunners may.
Wait, I think we were
Here
right.
are options at this point. Don't add any new lines.
Okay.
Saying water chip still not found. Up, the talking head would just sit there and the line. Words that are voiced.
Come on. I kid him right to where he was fucking speaking, and then my laptop wants to be a dick. This is actual hell. I just want to watch a YouTube video, man. Yeah, I know, right? I said, fuck you, no. Not responding. Yep, it did. I fucking hate this thing.
You cute ass. Look at him.
I see. He's all kinds of out. Good boy. Oh, this has been fucking fun. This has been so fucking fun. I hate this. Oh wow. Okay. Okay, that's a little way too much on you guys. Give me 1 second. Why is my fucking webcam so big? There we go. Took long enough. Here we are. We are back. Technical difficulties. Holy shit.
And we want to talk about the ethical aspects of this, because the fifth solution
Yeah.
is to run an AI voice
Yeah,
mimic
and
software
people don't want that
on
shit
all the
at all.
AI overseer or all the overseer lines and have an AI generate the lines. I bet you a ton of you hate
Double
this
check to
idea.
make
I'm
sure
throwing it out there.
that this is actually working correctly.
AI overseer or
Yep, it is. Alright, cool.
because these are the kind of things that anyone remastering Fallout will have to think about if they want to fix something like that water chip.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some other things to think about. What platforms would it come out on? I'm
If it comes out on consoles, it's guaranteed that they're going to have to come out with a whole new control system, which means you're going to have to tweak that code entirely to newer
assuming
generations.
PC, but would we do it on Mac? Because there was a Mac version for the original game. I don't even know if people make a lot of Mac games anymore. But would you make a console game? Which console?
Yeah, okay, there you
Xbox,
go.
PlayStation, Switch?
I was going to say for a second, it sounded like he wasn't even talking about console releases, which I was like, that'd be insane nowadays not to do a remaster and not have a console release.
How about a tablet version? How about mobile versions? There's a lot of questions. I don't think these would be that hard to make given the nature of the OS abstraction library that's in Fallout called GNOME. But it brings up a whole bunch of new legal, technical, and subjective issues because
Well, the
just making it
ethical
work on
ones,
mobile
especially
means a
for
whole new
the,
interface paradigm.
For the voice actor and everything, like, he's gone now. You can't make anything new around that quest to try to, like, fix that bug.
Then there's questions about modern tastes. Should we change the UI or the difficulty settings or other settings?
Not
Some
difficulty. Difficulty should stay intact, but the UI for sure is going to have to be updated a bit.
examples. The interaction method of left click, hold, right click. Should we stay that? That's a kind of an older paradigm. Should we keep it? Should we throw it away?
See,
If
the
you're gonna
thing
work on
is like, you probably have to do both. You'll probably have to keep it, and then you'll probably have to update it as well, and have like a switch between in the settings, so that way older players aren't like ostracized by the new controls, and newer players aren't ostracized by the older controls.
other platforms, you probably will have to come up with something different.
Yeah, other platforms for
Inventory.
sure, you're going to have to come up with a
People
new control.
really hated that long strip inventory we had, and the fact that when you added an item, it went to the bottom, so you had to scroll
all the way down for the new
A
one.
simple fix would be make latest items added go to the top, be first in the list. How about a whole sort by options, sort by weight, sort by value?
Oh man, so yeah, a sort option for sure in that system would be fucking great, or even like having a search option.
You sort by recently added. How about a grid? How about we just make it, instead of a strip, we make it a grid?
Well, the grid would make the most sense, but at that point you're getting into remake territory again.
That would be a whole bunch easier. But how much are we now changing the original Fallout? Is this a quality of life thing, or are you making a new game?
You're making a new game at that point.
I mentioned
To a certain extent.
companions shooting you in the back and enemies shooting their friends. Should we just turn off critical failures altogether? I know a lot of people hate it. Should there be a setting for that?
Never turn off critical failures, because without critical failures, then critical successes don't feel as good.
off crit fails. And would it be turn them
Plus,
off
also critical failures are fucking funny.
for everyone? Or maybe just the player? Or the player and his companions? Questions. And this is not just technical. You're going to have to rewrite the code to do this. But it's subjective. Should you do this? Same question for resolution.
I think for a remaster, you should not. For a remake, you should.
I assume people are going to want Fallout to run in higher than 640, 480. But once you go higher res, are you going to do that with in-game art scaling? Are you going to grab the original sprite data and scale it in real time to whatever resolution you're in? Using, there's a whole bunch of ways of doing that. Or are you going to upscale it offline and store much higher resolution sprites and textures in the shippable version of the game? You can do a lot more if you do it that way.
Okay.
Or do you just leave it? And if you go higher res, the sprites and the user interface stays small. Don't know. Some of the
So wait, Wait a minute. Let me go back and
40, 480.
reset.
But once you go higher res, are you going to do that with in-game art scaling? Are you going to grab the original sprite data and scale it in real time to whatever resolution you're in? Using, there's a whole bunch of ways of doing
Oh, I've done this before. This is actually a pain in the ass, especially like with dealing with different monitors and different TV sizes. I didn't even think about that. Normally, like Godot Engine, whenever I use it, it has an automatic scaling feature. So, like, if I set in the settings for full screen, it will make sure that the UI stretches and everything for like whatever screen it is. But they probably didn't have that back then. So now you've got to program in for all these different screen sizes and for the UI to stretch or to just stay the same.
that. Or are you going to upscale it offline and store much higher resolution sprites and textures?
Oh, that's the other option as well. Instead of just upscaling it in the code, you could just straight up just save multiple different versions of it, and then based on the load is what loads in the UI. Like, it loads in this screen, so we're going to load in this UI instead of just stretching it. I think the stretching it version it's more code consuming, but it's less like time consuming, I guess.
In the shippable version of the game. You can do a lot more if you do it that way. Or do you just leave it? And if you go higher res, the sprites and the user interface stays small.
That
Don't know.
would be
Some of this is technical, some of this is subjective.
that would be ass. Higher res and then the UI and everything stays small. That would genuinely be ass.
So I pointed out all these different issues. And let me tell you what they mean to me personally. Of the legal ones, I have no interest. I have absolutely no interest in trying to figure that out. I'm not going to try.
Well, yeah. Why would he? Why would he want to go to business meetings? Why would he want to go beg Bethesda for their IP and everything else? Why not just work on something else? Like, why not just leave that to them?
I just don't want to deal with it. Technical, these are fun to me. I would
Yeah.
love to dive in and work on some of these.
That's how you know he's a fucking programmer. And like I said, you always want to challenge yourself. And if you're not challenging yourself, like, then you aren't able to go back to your older work and improve it. This man wants to go back and improve all that old code. He wants to have this challenge. He's at half mast. I see it in his eyes.
Technical issues. I know the code really well too, so it's something I'm good at and I'd have fun doing. Then that leads to the subjective issues. I don't think there's a correct answer to any of these subjective questions I've
There's not.
raised in this video.
Well, that's why they're subjective in the first place and not objective, because there's no definitive answer. You could go any of these ways, but there's always going to be an issue, and there's always going to be like someone that has a problem with one way or the other. I genuinely think the AI would be the best way to get the best experience for the player, but then you have those ethical concerns, and like a lot of people aren't going to want that. Like, imagine the family members of that voice actor hearing his voice say something he never said. That's just insane. And like, it's so many ethical concerns.
By the way, if you think there is, I don't know how to deal with people who think so black and white about subjective things. I know some of what I would do, and there's other ones I don't want to touch. I would want to leave it alone, even though some people think it's a problem.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
But the bottom line is working on such a remaster should be enjoyable. Discussions about these things should be fun. I do not feel like arguing about
Oh
them.
yeah, and that is for sure. Like, nobody should be like getting up in arms. He needs to do it.
But I do feel like discussing them in detail. I like doing that. But whoever has to remake this game is going to understand that some of those discussions are going to turn to arguments. And some of those
100%.
subjective decisions do not have a correct answer. And people are going to argue about what to do. So I thought I'd make this so that from now on, when people ask me, why isn't Fallout being remastered? I'm just going to link to this video, and there know the entire list of legal, technical,
There you
and
go.
subjective issues.
See, I just recently made a reaction video, or like a video about reaction content, and like if it's actually like stealing or not and everything else like that. And I made that video literally for the same reason. So next time someone comes with that at me and tries to argue with me about it, I can just link them the video and be like, hey man, just here's my opinion on it. You can fucking argue with the screen.
That would face anybody who wants to remaster the original game.
But so yeah, that's it. That's how hard it would be to remaster a Fallout. I'll send a link to the video. Give me one moment, and then we're gonna move on. Shit, about to grab that up right now. The link to the video. That way I can.
Are you a Roblox fanatic?
Shit, oh, that's gonna be fun.
So the Switch 2 is out, and
You're not
honestly,
Hey, you're not
So-
allowed to talk yet. We'll fucking grab that up. Come on. Share. Give me the link. Pop over here. Paste it. Wait, let me, oh, there we go. Okay. And pin it. Oh, my phone died on me. That's what went wrong. Okay. Well, that's fun. So hopefully, or wait, I have your phone over here I can use, actually.
I gotta get ready for work in an hour.
No, I know.
I'm so excited for potatoes. He's
I know.
As you were looking for dinner tonight.
There's Twitch. 26.
Oh,
Go over to my actual live. There we go, and it did get pinned, so we got that up there. And then now I am going to leave this playing just to make sure that none of this is fucked up. Okay, so yeah, there's the link to the video. Now let's move on to Switch 2 is the last straw. I'm done with Nintendo.
Peeps did a channel video about it.
so the Switch
Whatever.
2 is out, and
What?
Waste of money.
A lot of, I mean, for a bigger screen, and you got
I
mouse
just think
controls.
because of Peeps that you just said it was worth it.
You got mouse controls.
honestly, I wish I could say I was excited. I really, really wanted to be excited. Like many 90s babies, I grew up on Nintendo. They were my very first gaming love. And not just the
I was gonna
games,
say,
but the feeling of them. The wonder, the warmth, the way they pulled you into a world and made it feel like home. Ocarina of Time.
but yeah, like I was just about to say, literally, that's the one I found. Remember, I was telling you about it in the desert. But I'm trying to react to this, baby.
Sorry.
Well, let me restart the entirety of that since the intro of that video is all scuffed. Alright, Switch 2, last straw. I'm done with Nintendo.
So the Switch 2 is out, and honestly, I wish I could say I was excited. I really, really wanted to be excited. Like many 90s babies.
Yeah, they really just didn't push as hard as they do. Like, normally whenever a Nintendo console comes out, it's got like some big innovation. Like the Wii had motion controls, the fucking Wii U had how garbage a console could be. Nintendo Switch was portable. Like, all these things were like innovations. And now it seems like they're not innovating anymore. They're just reiterating on the Wii U now.
I grew up on Nintendo. They were my very first gaming love.
And yeah, same also. That's what I was going to get into. My very first console was actually
And not
the
just the
brick.
games, but
Yeah,
the
that one
feeling
right
of
there,
them.
the fucking Game Boy. And I had fucking Fire Red also. Not Fire Red. Pokemon Red version.
The
I had
wonder,
Red
the
also,
warmth, the way they
but-
pulled you into a world and made it feel like home. Ocarina of
See, I didn't play a lot of SNES games, but I did have a 64. Ocarina of Time.
Time was the one that really
I was always more of a Majora's Mask person personally, but
awoke something in me. That opening in Kokiri Forest with the Deku Tree, riding Epona across Hyrule Field, it all felt so massive. Like a real world was tucked inside a little cartridge. And then Majora's Mask came along, and my little self had never felt such anxiety. That eerie
you know what? Actually, we are gonna fucking bump this up like this. Probably just look better overall.
moon, the ticking clock,
Yeah,
the
Majora's
emotional
Mask.
side quests.
I was Majora's Mask was just, it hit on a whole nother different level. Like, I played that game so much just for the aesthetics of it. Nothing else. Like, not even the gameplay. Just living in that world felt just different.
That made you care so much in so little time. It was the very first game that made me feel something beyond just fun.
That
It
dude
was
fucking
sad,
creeped the shit out of me. Holy shit. Yeah, look at that face.
confusing, kind of strange at times, and very deep. It wasn't just
so
Zelda.
weird.
I was obsessed
was
with
so
Super Mario
fucking weird.
64, running wild through Peach's castle.
Alright, hot take. I didn't actually play Super Mario 64 until it came out for the DS, like, way, way later. Like, I barely ever played it on the actual Nintendo 64.
Jumping into paintings, discovering every secret star. That game felt like true freedom. And then there were classics like Kirby's Dream Land,
never played
Yoshi's
Kirby's
Story,
Dream Land,
Donkey
really.
Kong 64, Star Fox, Metroid Prime, all complete.
Donkey Kong 64 was so fucking fire. And so was Metroid Prime. Both of those games were so good. The other games I didn't play as much, but
Completely
those games
different
were so
and
fun.
wonderful in their own way. And every one of them had a vibe, a soul, that Nintendo spark that made it feel like you weren't just playing, you were being let in.
I was gonna say, they had an aesthetic to them that, like, every time you saw it on the shelf, like, other people tried to mimic it, and you could even see, like, when it was a bad imitation compared to when Nintendo actually pushed it.
Something very special. And then my parents bought me the original DS, and just like that, the whole thing was cracked wide open for me. That's how I found Animal Crossing Wild.
I played so much Pokemon Rescue Rangers on the fucking DS. That was my first game, and then immediately after I got Diamond and Pearl, and it was over.
World, and I was hooked. I spent hours in that little village, rearranging furniture, writing letters, fishing for red snappers, and visiting my best friend's town during our weekly sleepovers. Even now, just hearing the soundtrack makes me very emotional. It takes me right back.
See, I didn't play too much Animal Crossing on the actual DS. I didn't actually play Animal Crossing until it came out, till New Leaf dropped, and then I played a lot of it on my 3DS. And then obviously, the one that came out for the Switch, I played a little bit of it, and then my girlfriend has destroyed that game.
Back to those quiet, cozy afternoons after school, all curled up with that clunky silver DS with nowhere else that I needed to be. Truly the
Literally
epitome of nostalgia.
nothing
I didn't know it then, but those games were helping to shape how I saw everything.
Now, I gotta say, I think it's fucking hilarious that this entire time she's talking about Nintendo nostalgia, she has fucking Power World up in the background. And she's playing Power World, like the fucking spite. It's even funnier because my girlfriend's actually playing Power World right now, too.
Stories, characters, even myself, and for a while it really felt like Nintendo understood how to make something that mattered. And it didn't stop there. I
The
basically
Wii,
owned
oh
every
my
major
God,
Nintendo
yeah,
console,
that-
starting with the N64.
Everyone had to have a Wii. Wii Mania was fucking insane.
GameCube, Wii, DS, 3DS, even the Wii U, which, in my humble
The 3DS, a lot of fucking what's the word? A lot of eye doctors got a raise that month. The fucking year that dropped.
opinion, was ahead of its time, by the way. But I owned all of them. And when the Switch was announced with Breath of the Wild, I was beyond
With the Wii U, I didn't know it was a new console. I thought it was an add-on to the original Wii. So I just skipped it entirely. I was like, oh, shit, it's just a little tablet that comes with your Wii? I'm not going to get on that. And then someone, like, told me, what was it? Wind Waker came out for it. And I was like, oh, shit, okay, I'll get Wind Waker for it. And then that's when I found out that the Wii U was an entirely separate console. I was like, wait, what? You're telling me I can't just put this disc in my Wii and it'll work? Wait, what?
excited. Like, very cringely crying at the announcement trailer excited. As a Zelda fan, it was everything I'd ever wanted in a game, and to this day, it is still one of my favorites. That launch brought back
I remember the week the fucking Switch dropped, I literally had the money to buy it, and I didn't pre-order it, and I worked at Walmart. You would think working at Walmart, I'd have, like, first fucking pass at, like, all the Switches that they would have, like, in stock and everything. Nope. I went there to the fucking back to try to grab my version of Switch 2. They were already all either sold to another customer or, like, sold to another employee. I almost cried. It was ridiculous. I could not find one. I had to actually go to a scalper on eBay and pay double the price for my Switch. Yeah, actually. Well, I didn't do it. Yeah,
Where's my phone?
it's right here.
I gotta go potty.
Oh, I'm gonna say my ex bought it, but still.
So much of the old magic, which is probably why I held on for so long and I even wanted to work for them. Like, genuinely. I applied to corporate
Oh,
Nintendo
did you
PR
for
jobs
real?
probably 15 to 20 times. I'm not even exaggerating. Back in 2019, I
wonder if
was
she has
pursuing
a,
PR, and when I got the opportunity to go to
pursuing
E3 that year,
PR,
the very
got
last
you.
E3, by the way, I actually spoke with a Nintendo PR
See, I was sitting here thinking she was trying to be a dev.
team in person. It was magical. The Nintendo section of the event was so overwhelming and electric, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is what I want, and this is what I want to be a part of. So please, hear
I've never been to a convention before, but I've got to imagine it's like a surreal experience. Like, I'll never be able to go to, because they're not really doing them anymore all that much. But like, it's got to be fun. Like, especially like at like a Nintendo event like that where they got like all the characters and everything. That shit's got to be like on another level.
hear me out. What we are about to discuss isn't coming from someone who's out to bash Nintendo. This is coming from someone who genuinely, wholeheartedly, even
I
at
feel like
times
we're all
very
Nintendo fans
cringely,
at the
loved
end of the day.
Nintendo
Like,
and their games. And
Nintendo's like Disney, where they have creeped their way not only into my childhood, but they've also creeped their way into my mother's childhood, and they're going to creep their way into my children's childhood. Like, it's just one of those generational companies that like gets passed along because it's a childhood hobby that is shared between parents and children.
really believed in what I thought they stood for. But over time, I've started to realize that maybe Nintendo isn't the company I thought they were. What
They
I've
are
seen
a
over the
company.
last few years is
I was
that
gonna
my
say that is
nostalgia
for sure,
goggles
they're
have
a
been
company.
working overtime, and they've kept me from really seeing the true nature of a company that I once held so dear to my heart. So, let's dive in. And let's start with the release of the Switch 2. It's officially out now, and sales are booming. Records are
Yeah, I
being
was gonna
broken,
say,
and over 3
I've seen so many unboxing videos. I'm sure people are like buying it up like nobody's business, but like everybody I've seen has been saying it's not worth.
million units were sold worldwide on release day. People are also loving Mario Kart World, and I'm genuinely very happy for them. Yes, the game looks like a lot of fun. I
I've
just wish
never tried.
I felt something, because more than
Well,
anything,
that's what I was gonna get at. I was like, open world Mario Kart. Well, that's a cool concept. Like, it didn't get me like hype.
I just feel tired. At $450 or $500 if you get it bundled with Mario Kart World, this doesn't feel like a celebration of the next
$500.
chapter. It feels like Nintendo
They're doing it again.
seeing how far they can stretch our loyalty, how much they can charge us for something that isn't even new, just a little bit newer. And listen, I'm not here to crap on Mario Kart. I actually really like Mario Kart. I do. It's
No, Mario Kart 8 was seeing how far they could push to sell us the same fucking thing over and over again, just a little bit fucking newer. This game came out on the Wii. Not the Wii U, not the fucking... It came out on the Wii. And then it came out on the DS. And then it came out on the... Or no, I think it came out on the 3DS. Then it came out on the 3DS. Then it came out on the Wii U. Then it came out on the Switch. Then it came out again, I think, on the Switch. Like, this game has come out so many fucking times and people have bought it. So, like, of course the first thing they're going to push with the release of a console that's essentially the same thing again is a new version of new version. Well, it probably actually is. I haven't even seen any gameplay from it.
one of those comfort games that's always been there, and it's attached to so many fond memories of playing with friends and family. But even though it looks fun, when that's the flagship title for a brand new console launch, I don't know, I personally just couldn't get behind the hype. It feels kind of boring, safe, predictable. Nintendo isn't asking, hey, what's possible here? They're asking, what can we get away with? Because $80...
No. It is what's possible. How possible is it for us to sell them the same thing again? That is the question.
For Mario
They're
Kart
definitely
World,
pushing
that's
what's
not
possible.
just a new number. It's a shift in how this industry treats its players. And what surprises me, even though it shouldn't at this point, is that it's Nintendo, of all companies, ushering in this new pricing standard. This wasn't them reluctantly following a trend that I know was
See, everybody was thinking that GTA 6 was going to be the one that did the price hike. Nope, Nintendo got us to 90 real quick.
inevitable, but this was them leading the charge. setting a precedent, establishing $80 as the new
No,
normal,
like,
and
yeah,
not with
and they're the
some
ones to do it.
expansive, genre-pushing new experience, but with an exact game formula that we've literally seen 16 times at this point. And it makes you ask, why? Because meanwhile, I'm looking at games like Helldivers 2, Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, they could have pushed another game. Like, they could have had a new launch title. Like, they could have had a new IP launch with this. Like, that would have been insane. That would have at least given people a reason to try to, like, get on the Switch 2, other than just Mario Kart World.
Rush, Lies of P, Remnant 2, Clair Obscur, Baldur's Gate 3, and so many more. Games that have
Imagine if they announced the Switch 2 and they said that you could play Expedition 33 anywhere you wanted. People would be buying that shit up like nobody's business. I'm sure you can play Baldur's Gate 3 anywhere you want it on the Switch 2. I'll have to look into that more. It might be possible. I don't know.
have real creative vision, some with massive campaigns, even some with fleshed out co-op systems launching at or below $60. And many of these games are taking risks and really pushing boundaries,
Like,
and somehow
all
they're still
boundaries.
finding a way to be more accessible. So when Nintendo drops a new console and leads with yet another Mario Kart at a higher price than ever before, it doesn't feel like they're honoring their legacy. It feels like they're monetizing it, like they're using it
Oh, they're 110% monetizing their legacy. This is nostalgia bait like nobody's business to try to sell you the same console again.
against us. Actually kind of feels like a slap in the face. That stings pretty badly. And yes, to be fair, the Switch 2 is a technical upgrade. 4K visuals,
yeah.
better battery, smoother
We're
performance,
no
more
longer
storage.
walking around with PS3s. We're walking around with PS4s in our hand. It is a technical upgrade. They just didn't do a lot visually to show how much of a technical upgrade it is.
It's all technically better on paper, but it doesn't feel like a new era. It seems like a slightly fancier version of something that we already had. And for me personally, this realization of who Nintendo is not like a sudden moment of awakening.
This shouldn't have been a 2. This should have been like a Switch Plus or a Switch Pro. But they already did that with the Switch OLED. So like they're trying to do it again, so they had to fucking put a 2 on it. But like I said, this should have been like the plus version of the console. Oh.
I've quietly been stepping back from them for a while now. And not because I stopped loving their games,
Mostly
but
because of the
because I
Powell
started seeing the
controversy.
patterns, the choices, and the shifts. And at this point, it's pretty clear that this Switch 2 release is not just about a new price tag or a
Like, I remember back in the day, what was it? I think it was, forget which Nintendo CEO it was. I'll have to look it up later. But one of the Nintendo CEOs literally took a pay cut so that way they didn't have to lay off any employees. Like, that's the Nintendo I remember. Now we have the Nintendo that will fucking sue an indie game because they throw balls at monsters.
genuine attempt at launching something new. It's just another step in the same pattern that's been repeating for years. Back in the day, this used to be the
Man,
company that
look at
took
that.
risks, that made
Look at that. He's testing Super Mario World. That's insane. Like, and like, he doesn't look happy. This is a man who's probably been up for 5 days, and now he's presenting this shit to a fucking boardroom. But look at how fucking magical it looks.
magic that redefined entire genres and invited us into something truly special. But
It
now
was just a different
kind of just
breed.
seems like they're relying on the fact that we'll show up no matter what, even though they are so
Well, they know we
often
will.
very anti-consumer. It's because they know our nostalgia runs incredibly deep, and the more I've seen it,
It runs so deep that you probably have more childhood memories with Nintendo than Disney. That's how deep it runs.
the harder it has been to unsee. Nintendo has mastered something I can only describe as weaponized nostalgia. They've turned our childhood memories into a soulless business model, and the part that really hurts is that it works. It worked on me for so long. I've been the Nintendo fangirl who's bought
I was gonna say, I almost bought a Switch 2. Like, until all the reviews started coming out about how it's pretty much just the same thing.
the remakes, re-releases, and updated ports, even though I knew deep down that what they were offering was not anything new. And looking back on it, I I don't know. I guess it was because I didn't feel like I was buying a game. It felt like I was buying a memory. And Nintendo knows that. They know that we remember how it felt to blast through Alien Worlds and Metroid Prime, or
You know, I want to agree with this, that like they do remember, but then like they fail to accurate. Like, I would love for them to re-release all the Pokemon games just like on a ROM emulator. Like, I will pay for them to emulate the Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch, but they won't do it. And like, they don't offer another avenue for me to buy them. Like, I can't buy a physical copy from Nintendo of Pokemon Red or Pokemon Blue. So like, there's no way for me to get this game. It was on the fucking Nintendo eShop back in the 3DS days, but now that's gone and everything else like that too. So I actually have no way to actually purchase these games from Nintendo, and I want to because I want to play them, and they know that I want to because they already did it once on the eShop before, but they just won't do it again, and I don't know why. It's literally leaving money on the table.
how it felt to spend hours raising your perfect Nintendog like it was your actual childhood pet. They know we feel these titles in a way that goes beyond gameplay. And they have perfected the art of re-releasing titles, sometimes only mildly updated, at full price, locking legacy content behind paywalls and subscriptions.
Yeah, no, they've done that before.
And offering nostalgia
Many
not as a
times.
gift, but as a Heartless transaction. And just a quick side note that I found out while I was writing out this video. Do you want to talk about Heartless? Because I just found out that Nintendo actually replaced the voice actress for Princess
really?
Peach after 18
I didn't
years.
know that.
And they didn't even tell her. She found out with the rest of the world when the new Mario Kart
No
game came out.
shot! That's insane. Imagine like being lined up for this role for 18 years and then realizing you missed out on the part the day the fucking game drops. That's so disrespectful.
They've done it before.
That's insane.
They did it to the dude in Mortal Kombat.
I don't think Nintendo owns Mortal
I
Kombat,
know,
do
but
they?
I'm talking about the game company that did Mortal Kombat. They did the same thing to him.
Yeah, well, I never heard about that one also.
Yeah, he get over here, that dude.
Yeah.
They replaced him, and he had no idea they were making a Mortal Kombat X.
Oh, I didn't realize that also.
So that's not the original dude in there.
That's crazy. No, but like, this is the first time I've ever heard of Nintendo doing something like this,
I was
because
just
like,
saying I heard the Mortal Kombat's done it.
it's just
And it was
insane.
one of their big boys they replaced. And
Well,
they didn't
yeah.
tell him.
I was gonna say that it's been memed to death. Get over here.
Yeah, and he was it from the 90s, and they just got rid of him from Mortal Kombat X.
That's crazy though.
That's actually
No, that's
insane.
actually
But
fucking wild.
anyway, to get back on track, there's always been a huge difference between celebrating fan love and exploiting it. And for me, it seems like Nintendo has lived long enough to finally see themselves become the villain.
I was gonna
So
say
moving on
they
from the
are
Switch to
becoming.
release.
They are the villain, but I feel like they've been the villain for a while. We're just now finally starting to see that they're the villain.
At some point, I started looking at how Nintendo treats the people who love their games. And what I found honestly broke my heart a little bit, because Nintendo doesn't just protect its legacy, they police
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Let's start with content
110%.
creators. This is nothing
I
new.
was gonna
For
say-
many years now, Nintendo has been going after them.
They've been king of cease and desist. Like, anyone who knows what Pokemon Uranium is knows clearly that what is it? That Nintendo does not give a shit about their fans or their fan games, because like Pokemon Uranium almost touches on, like, it uses the Pokemon IP. That's it. It's an entirely its own story in the Pokemon universe, in its own region, using some of its own Pokemon. It has some of the original in there also, but it makes new Pokemon for it. It's a really, really good fan game, but Nintendo does not want you to play it.
Gamers, YouTubers, musicians for doing what, honestly, most other gaming companies celebrate, sharing their
Yeah.
love for the brand and its IP. Somehow, I managed to
If Nintendo could, like, with all this copyright stuff and everything around like fair use and everything, if we got rid of that fair use legal defense, Nintendo would strike down this video, or they would try to, just for putting like fucking Nintendo products and everything in the video and shit like that. Nintendo would be going after everyone.
Kind of turned a blind eye to most of this until the Point Crow situation. He was a YouTuber who was making these really incredible Breath of the Wild mod videos. Fun, creative, and totally original. And then one day, Nintendo claimed and struck 27 videos.
Jesus.
No warning, no conversation, just straight up attacked. And it wasn't just his Breath of the Wild mods, it was any content that featured them, including other creators who had collaborated with him. It all got wiped out.
Jesus, so like even other channels and everything were getting affected by it, not just his. See, and that's what Nintendo will do. If they don't want you to play their games online because they 100% view it as a detriment to their business. They think you're going to go watch the game on YouTube, and instead of going and buying the game yourself, you're going to think that's a replacement for playing the game.
Like a purge. And it made me pause because these weren't leaks and they weren't made to be malicious. It really was just fan content.
It's not even the original content of the game either. He's making modification videos, like where they're modifying the game itself. So it's not even like the original version of the game.
That was made out of love. And Nintendo really cracked down on it like it was a threat. And this was not an isolated case. One that has really stuck with me was Gilvasunner. And if you didn't know, Gilvasunner's channel used to be one of the only places online where you could find full Nintendo soundtracks. For years, Nintendo basically had these locked up very tight unless you were able to purchase a physical CD from Nintendo themselves. They weren't on Spotify, Apple Music, Nintendo's YouTube channel, no official platform to listen to any of it. And Gilva wasn't even trying to profit from this.
Okay, so then they eventually came out with Nintendo Music.
There were no ads or monetization, just the original music uploaded for fans who wanted to relive the moments those songs came from. It was really a gift to the community. And then it was gone. Nintendo initially sent over 1,300
Well, yeah, because why would you go to Nintendo Music, which I guess they just dropped, if you're going to this dude's channel? Like, he's a market replacement, so of course they got to get rid of him.
Down notices. And after that, it was followed by another 2,200. The entire channel essentially wiped out and Gilva closed up shop. And I know this might sound a little bit dramatic, but that was kind of a big turning point for me when it came to how I viewed them. Just a little side note / confession, but as a former
I was going to say, the big one for me that I always saw was, like I said, Pokemon Uranium. If you were there, you remember. It's been, God, I think it was like all the way back in 2016, 2017. But like, yeah, that was my turning point when I realized that Nintendo wasn't the Nintendo they used to be.
Former Disney adult who has learned the error of her ways, I feel pretty qualified to say this. Nintendo really...
Honestly, gonna say, I could tell. She was a Disney adult. I know you're a Disney adult.
Really is the Disney of gaming. They're wholesome on the surface, very full of magic and memories. But
and like, you can easily make this comparison. Like, I made the comparison at the beginning of this video.
Underneath, there's a very quiet, corporate, malicious control. And both companies know how to tug at your childhood heartstrings while handing out copyright strikes and ulterior motives on the side.
Exactly.
At the time I was watching,
AKA good business.
This unfold, the more I sat with what happened to Gilvasunner, the more it made me
not consumer-friendly business, mind you, but still good business because it makes them more money. People aren't going to like that, but it is true.
Why is Nintendo's music so locked away to begin with? These soundtracks have some of the most iconic songs in gaming. They were emotional, timeless, and they were very deeply personal for so many of us. And like I said earlier, Animal Crossing Wild World was my comfort game, and yet...
And the thing with Animal Crossing is like, it's an entirely different beast when it comes to music, because I believe both depending on the time of the year and time of day, you can have an entirely different soundtrack. So like on one day in spring, I could be wrong on this, but I believe like one day in spring at a certain time will have a different tune than one day in fall at the same time. And then every hour has a different soundtrack also for that hour. So depending on what time of day you tune into the game, you could get an entirely different soundtrack. So like, trying to listen to those in-game is almost next to impossible. So you're going to want to try to find that outside of the game offline if you want to, like, you're like me and you want to listen to it for 6 hours while you're fucking making video games and stuff like that.
At the time, there was basically no way for me to go listen to it legally. It felt like Nintendo had locked away their history in a vault, and they just would not let anyone open it up. And from there, I started noticing so many other examples. Fan games getting shut down, community passion projects being wiped out, and
The fan games, you should have seen that a while ago. Fucking, like I said, I'm gonna keep harping on that Pokemon Uranium.
listen, I get it. IP protection is legally within their right, but it all just felt like they were going out of their way to crack down on this, acting very aggressive, cold, and even heartless. Especially when you look around at many other companies, Sega, Capcom, Xbox, PlayStation, even some indie studios, and you see them amplifying creators, lifting them up, letting the fans be a part of the legacy. But Nintendo doesn't really do
Nintendo doesn't want to do that because they want you to consume. They don't want you to be a fan.
that. They continue to pull the plug again and again, and over time, I started wondering if maybe I had just been giving them the benefit of the doubt simply because I grew up loving them.
That's
So
probably
at this
exactly
point,
what
after
happened.
the Gilfa Center takedown, I had already started to feel uneasy. The creator takedowns, the fan projects, the legacy content, it was all feeling a lot more controlling than caring. But the moment that truly stopped me in my tracks was when I heard the story of Gary Bowser. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know about any of this until I listened to an
Gary
episode
Bowser.
of Darknet Diaries, which, by the way, Jack does an incredible job explaining all of this.
I wonder what.
I'll link it in the description for you. Now, I obviously knew at this point
I haven't heard
Nintendo
about this.
could be very protective of their IP. But this was on a whole other level. Gary was a part of a group called the Team Executor, and what they did was build and sell mod chips, little pieces of
Okay.
hardware that you could install in your Nintendo consoles to run homebrew apps, custom
Okay.
firmware, and yes, pirated games.
Well,
but
fair.
people also use those mods for stuff that wasn't necessarily
So
pirated.
it's essentially like the Game Sharks that have been part of Nintendo consoles for years. Like I remember having a Game Shark all the way back on my DS and my, or no, I think I remember them selling them for the Game Boy SP, but I don't think I remember having one. I got one for my DS. I remember that much. And I remember you could like download games onto chips if you really wanted to using that software.
They used it to run backups of games they already owned, or just experiment with the system for their own personal use. Things that were
Yeah.
really never going to be available through Nintendo directly. Gary
Yeah,
essentially became the fall guy for
Nintendo
the
does
entire
not want you to. They don't want you to fuck with any of their shit. They want it to stay nice, clean, and corporate. Like, nice, clean, and sanitized.
organization. And Nintendo came down on him in a way that was very extreme. In 2020, Gary was arrested at gunpoint in the Dominican
No
Republic and
shot.
extradited to the US. By 2022, he'd been sentenced to 3 years in prison and
Damn, they got him. I mean, damn. They got him arrested. I thought they were just going to fine him and it was going to be like a legal suit or something like that. No, they got him actually criminally charged.
ordered to pay $14.5 million in damages,
damn.
$4.5 million in restitution, and then another $10 million from a civil suit. And after he got out early, he
Jesus.
still owed all of it. And he started paying Nintendo
Jesus Christ, imagine owing, oh God, 13 point something million, 10 million, and then, so he owes somewhere, Nintendo, around $30 million in damages. There's no way he made that much off of those chips. There's no fucking way.
back 25 to 30% of his monthly income, which at one point was just $25 a month from his prison library job. He'll basically be paying them for the rest of
His
his
life,
life.
yeah.
When I heard that, my
That's
stomach
like, here, I'll back it up right there. That right there, that is a modern day indentured servant. Plain as day. That is a Nintendo slave.
monthly income, which at one point was just $25 a month
That
from
is
his
an
prison
actual
library job.
Nintendo
He'll
slave.
basically be
Holy
paying
shit.
them for the rest of his life. When I heard that, my stomach dropped. I genuinely felt heartbroken for him. Yes, what he and the rest of the team were doing was illegal, and they did profit off of it, but Gary was just one man. And are we really
Yeah, see, and it's even a little bit of a gray line. Like, technically, he did give an avenue for piracy, and he didn't have to add that into the chip's functionality. So, but like the homebrew scene, Nintendo has never helped with, and we've always had to find a way around it. Like, I remember back on the fucking GameCube, there were like homebrew softwares and shit that you could download into your computer and then hook your GameCube up to your computer and crack it that way and shit like that. Like, people have been doing this for years and creating software for it for years. I've never heard of anyone facing any legal action about it.
Really saying the punishment fits the crime here, because whatever legal lines were crossed, this felt less like justice and more like hatred and wrath. And not just for what he did.
It's not hatred and wrath, it's clear as day. It was to send a message to anyone else who wants to do it. It was mafia tactics. It's, if you do this, we're going to come after you. Plain as day.
But for daring to even touch Nintendo's closed system. And the part that really got me with this is Nintendo tried to get Sony and Microsoft to back them up here, to join the lawsuit and make it a united front against piracy. Both companies said no. Both Sony and Xbox,
because they know that their fucking homebrew scene is like not a big percentage, but it's still like 10% of your sales.
Dollar publishers in their own right refused to be a part of it. Even they seem to think that it,
and not only that 10% of your sales, but then the PR is going to take that 10% to a 30% hit.
It was too far. And again, I am not here to outright defend piracy, really. There's a whole conversation.
I'm not either. I'm specifically talking about using this software for the homebrew scene to make your own games and load your own games onto these consoles. That is the only purpose that I think that this chip should have ever served, and the fact that it can be used for piracy is a side effect, unfortunately.
Be had about access, preservation, and ethics, but this felt incredibly cruel and predatory. Nintendo did not just want to stop Gary from what he was doing, they wanted to make him an example. And for me, this was the defining moment when I knew Nintendo was no longer the company that I had loved for decades. And if you thought Gary Bowser's case was just a one-off or a legal overreach in a rare situation, it wasn't. Because not long after that, Nintendo set its sights on something much bigger and arguably much more telling. You might have already guessed it, but I'm talking about Power.
I was gonna say, it's been playing in the background. Oh shit, I did that on accident. Sorry about that. Yeah, she's only had gameplay of it playing in the background.
Nintendo set its sights on something much bigger and arguably much more telling. You might have already guessed it, but I'm talking about Palworld.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was clear as day that this video was going to go towards Palworld. She has it playing in the background the entire time.
You probably remember when it blew up. A very weird, chaotic blend of Pokemon.
This game was so much fucking fun that I owned Game Pass, and I still bought this game after it came out day one on Game Pass, because I just knew that I wanted to support these developers. This game was so much fucking fun.
Style creature collecting and open world survival mechanics. It was very messy, it was wild, but it was so much fun. People were very obsessed.
I'm hoping they drop new content soon. I really am, actually.
Included. And yes, come on, it clearly was inspired by Pokemon. That's not a secret. You could throw a spear, you could collect little pals, you ride them, you battle them. It was Pokemon adjacent, absolutely. But here's the thing. It wasn't a copy. The characters were different. The art direction, tone, many mechanics were different.
I was gonna say, it's like, this is nothing close to any Pokemon game I've ever played. Like, I have never put the amount of hours I've put into a Pokemon game, the amount of hours I put into Palworld. I've put full on 7 days worth of hours into Palworld, which is insane.
Like, it took a very familiar genre and gave it a bold, slightly unhinged twist. And for the first time in years, fans were saying, why doesn't Nintendo try stuff like this? Instead of taking that feedback in stride, instead of rising to the challenge, listening, learning, evolving, Nintendo did what they've been doing for a while now. They sued. Together,
they stuck their head in the sand and sued. And now Pokemon Exit, what is it? Fucking Pokemon A through Z is going to fucking come out, and nobody's going to be about that game. Because honestly, it doesn't look like anything any Pokemon fan has ever wanted. The only thing they brought back that Pokemon fans want is Mega Evolutions. And like, yeah, don't bring them back in a bad game, dumbass.
with the Pokemon Company, they filed a patent infringement lawsuit against the Palworld dev team. Not over character design, surprisingly, not even over branding, but over mechanics. Things like throwing a Pal Spear to catch creatures, using them in combat, riding them across the world. And because of all of this, the Palworld team had to actually go in and change all of those features. They stripped out mechanics that
I
players
was gonna
loved,
say
not
this is one of the indie gaming community's biggest losses and fucking Nintendo's biggest wins, unfortunately. They got them to fucking kneel.
because they were unethical, but because they simply couldn't defend themselves
Exactly.
against a legal juggernaut. And just like with the Gary Bowser case,
They were
Nintendo
fucking
tried to
bullied
bring
out of
other
it.
companies into the fight. Sony and Microsoft were purportedly approached to back them again here, and
The fact that you approached Microsoft when Palworld was a Game Pass day one exclusive and Microsoft has been pushing that shit like their version of fucking Pokemon like nobody's business. Like, I know that like the Pocket Pair isn't owned by Xbox, but they might as fucking well be. Like, Nintendo must have it twisted if they thought Microsoft was going to back them for a second on this.
again, they declined. They did not want to be a part of it. And all of this says a lot because this could have been a big moment for Nintendo, a wake-up call, an opportunity for them to ask, what is it that people are responding to? Why are they so excited about this? What can we learn from this? But instead of innovation, they chose litigation. And to me, it was not a stand for creativity or IP
Oh, no,
protection.
not even
The
a little
Pokemon
bit.
formula
It was
has been
just to
around
bully
for
them
literally
out.
30 years. We all know what it is and where it comes from. And Palworld was not going to change that. No.
Nope.
This was Nintendo being a bully and
They were
swinging at
bullying.
anything that threatened the comfort of their complacency. They had an opportunity to grow.
They didn't want a market competitor. Digimon has been their only market competitor for years, and Digimon has made bad games for years. They have. Don't you sit over there and fucking react bad to me. They have made bad games for years. So then now someone comes out as a Pokemon competitor and makes a decent game in the gaming sphere, and now Nintendo actually has to innovate on Pokemon games. Thank God.
to evolve to take advantage of someone already laying the groundwork for them. But instead, they chose violence. And after everything, the creator
There
took
it
down the
is.
loss.
There it is, right there. I never heard about No Mario Sky. I need to look into that. But Pokemon Uranium version, that's such a fucking bad. You can still find it online, and if you do find it, go play it. But it's technically an illegal piece of software.
Suits, the silencing of innovation, you think maybe Nintendo would at least try to get one thing right. Their legacy. I
Well-
remember when Nintendo Online was first announced. It sounded like such a win, a way to legally revisit
Oh my god, yes, she's gonna talk about it. I literally ranted about it in the middle of the video. If you want us to play your old games, put them on the Switch Online, please.
classic titles, play old favorites, dive back into the library that built up this
Please.
brand. And at first, I was so hopeful.
If I could play old DS games or old 3DS games or fucking like, oh my god, the possibilities are actually endless with what they could put on there. And I don't even need it to be part of the online service. They just need to fucking release it on the eShop, and I will buy it for $10.
But the reality has been frustrating at best. Games
Yeah,
get
at
added
best.
randomly. Some months it's not much. Other months it's one obscure NES title no one really asked for.
yep.
Entire consoles like Game Boy Advance or N64 still feel incomplete, and sometimes titles will just
Exactly. Like, you can play I don't even think you can play Majora's Mask on there. I'll have to double check on that.
disappear without warning or explanation. They're just gone. And now, with the launch of the Switch 2, I thought maybe they would just try to clean
Revamp
things
it,
up a bit.
maybe?
GameCube has finally joined the retro
Oh,
lineup,
thank
which is
God.
very awesome. But they only added 3 games at launch. Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2,
Thank God they at least added Wind Waker, because I wanted another way to actually play the GameCube version of that. I need to see if it's actually on the Switch now, because I'll
and
go ahead and
F-Zero
play that
GX.
shit.
Like, yeah, that's a cool trio, I guess, but it's
Soul
also
Calibur is pretty fucking fun too. I love that Soul Calibur.
pretty bare bones for a console.
But yeah, this is not a Nintendo. This is not a GameCube's live service launch, or not live service launch. Nintendo's I don't even know what you would call this because it's not even really a streaming service. Like, their gaming service, this is not a good launch for them. 3 games is not a launch. You had, like, where's Eternal Darkness? That could be on here. Where's fucking Twilight Princess? That could be on here. I know that one also came out for the Wii, but it was originally a GameCube release. I played it on the GameCube, I know. Where's fucking, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but the fucking Star Fox game on the GameCube, that was going to be here. Where are the Metroid Prime games? Where's, like, there's so many, where's Mario Sunshine? There's so many other good GameCube games that could be on here right now, but they're just not.
With so many legendary titles. And yes, I know more are coming, but
Why-
why launch with
Yeah,
so few?
why
Why
not
not
at
take the
launch?
easy win here and give your
Poquito.
fans what they've been begging you for years? Beyond the catalog, the performance isn't always there either. Sometimes there's lag, some games have awkward control schemes, others don't support cloud saves. It doesn't really feel like a premium service.
At all.
Feels like something Nintendo begrudgingly maintains and
It seems like something that they maintain because Game Pass is a thing, and because fans kind of want it.
definitely not something that they can be proud of. The thing is I've always wanted to support something like this.
I would support something like this so fucking fast, but they need an actual game. Like, they need actual games on it. Like, if they had gold, silver, and crystal on there, I'd buy all 3 of them and play them. Fuck, when they did it with red and blue and yellow on the 3DS, I bought all 3 versions so I could complete the original 151 Pokedex, and I did it.
am very happy to pay to play these games legally. I want to revisit the titles that shaped me in a clean, easy way, but Nintendo has made it so hard. It's like they're sitting on this treasure trove of nostalgia, this very beautiful, powerful legacy, and instead of sharing it or celebrating it with us,
They
they
just
keep it
wanna
to themselves and withhold it.
They're hoarding it like a fucking dragon, and I don't get it either. Like, it's not like they're sharing it amongst each other. They're just sitting on it.
They kind of hold it over us like drugs,
Yeah, like-
honestly, banking on the fact that we'll continue to play the part of the willing addicts who will be so happy for even
Watch it be like some weird ass conspiracy in their head that they think that, like, if we go back and play the old games, we'll see it how low the quality of the new games are, or some shit like that.
the tiniest drop. It really is heartbreaking, but at this point, I'm not even really mad about it. I'm just tired and maybe
Same.
still a little bit sad. Now, again, to be clear, this video is not meant to shame anybody. If you bought the Switch 2 or you're a part of Nintendo Online and you're loving it, I think that's great, truly.
That is a wonderful thing for you. I don't see how it could be worth the money.
I am not here to steal joy away from anyone. This video really is just to talk about how I can't ignore how much my own
Maybe the Donkey Kong game will be worth it, actually. I forgot. I was looking at that. That does actually look genuinely fun. That looks like the one reason I actually might buy a Switch 2.
relationship with Nintendo has changed over the years, and I don't love them anymore. Not the company, not like I used to. And that's difficult to say out loud because I grew
Yeah,
up on these
that's
games.
really
I
suck.
spent summers chasing stars in Mario 64, winters decorating my Animal Crossing home,
I spent my entire childhood with a fucking Game Boy in my hand. Yeah, it is really sad to see Nintendo go down this route.
racing my siblings in Mario Kart, riding Epona across Hyrule Field like it was the most magical thing in the world. And for me, these were not just games. They were a part of my childhood. And that's why all of this hurts so much. Because the company that once led
fucking
with a
suck.
full heart and love for gaming feels like it's running on autopilot, giving us the absolute bare minimum. Comfortable, safe, lazy, greedy.
Yep.
We're getting less and paying more. And look, the industry as a whole is a bit of a mess right now, but it's
That is
still
also
fair for us
fair.
to ask for better. To
We should still be able to ask for consumer, like, they should still be thinking about the consumer even though the industry's in a mess and on fire. They should still be trying to go for industry wins, not industry loses.
feel valued as customers, to want these companies to care. And for a long time, I really believed that
We should be getting more Oblivion remasters and less Switch 2s.
Nintendo did, that they were different, that they stood for something. But now it's hard to see how that could still be true. I always joke that my relationship with Nintendo is super toxic because even after all of this, even after how I've seen how they treat their consumers and fans, part of me still hopes that they'll change because they could. It really would be so easy. If they wanted to, they could be the company that supports creators and
I don't know what my cat's on right now. He just bit my girlfriend out of nowhere.
And then yelled at her.
Yeah, then yelled at her like she did something. You okay? You okay, buddy?
Instead of silencing them, shares their legacy instead of locking it away, prioritizes joy over control, and evolves instead of punishing innovation. I really would love nothing more than to fall back in love with them. But right now, it just seems like Nintendo is going to keep being Nintendo.
Yep.
Just
They're
very
just gonna keep ranking in those those cold hard dollar bills, and then sending those cold hard dollar bills to their lawyers.
stuck and too happy to stay that way. The love that I once had for them was so real and the magic really mattered. But the company behind that magic, it feels further away than ever. If
Yep.
you made it to the end of this video, seriously, thank you so much. And I would love to hear your
I was
story.
gonna
What
say,
made
here,
you fall in love with Nintendo? Are you still in love with them? Or have you also had a bit
watch
of a
my
breakup
video
with them
then,
like me?
and
Let me
then
know
you
in the
can hear all
comments.
about it. But yeah, go ahead, leave her a like. Fucking go ahead and subscribe to her channel. She's been doing great. Yeah, if you hate Nintendo too, yeah, also like this video because fuck that. They've been fucking up hardcore. But anyways, I think that's it for today, guys. I'm going to be back tomorrow probably and stream some more.